Hello everybody. In today's video, I want to teach you some Australianisms that you may not have heard before. Now, when I say Australianisms that you may not have heard before, I feel like the Australian slang that is out there, it's like, arvo, servo, thongs, trying to think of others. Barbie, we all know that, that is old news. So I'm going to teach you, I've got a list here. I have a list of Australian words that, or not just words, like Australian, phrases and things that you may not have heard before. Like, obviously, if you're Australian, you're gonna know these. Probably. If you are not Australian and you are not, really closely associated with Australia, you might not know these. I'm willing to bet that there's gonna be at least one that you don't know. Again, assuming that you are not Australian. If you are Australian, then, I don't know, this is not going to be a very educational experience, probably. I'm sorry. I also have a new microphone, you may have noticed. I don't know how to use it. I've never used it before. I bought this thing 2 months ago, and I had these grand plans and everything, and I was like, yeah, wow, I'm going to be I'm going to make so many videos with the new mic. And that was a few months ago, and I haven't done it. And that is why I am now filming literally in my bed, because I don't have a permanent, setup. And quite frankly, it's quite exhausting having to, set up multiple pieces of equipment to film. Especially, I don't really do, high production quality videos or anything, but I picked this up and then I didn't have any. Hang on. Ooh, does this pick this up? I was like, really? That could have gone very wrong there. Oh my god, me just dangling the microphone into a glass of Coke that, it would fit in the glass if I let go. Oh my god. Anyway, I'm really off track. Will this microphone be enough to conquer my, complete inability to organise myself in a way that means that I can actually film these videos, this list right here on my phone? These are all ASMR video ideas, except for the very, very top one, which is an idea for a crack fic, which is a fan fiction, but really funny, not serious, absurd comedy almost. And my idea for that is vampires can actually just use SPF, but they've actually just never tried it out. So the crack fic is literally going to be about vampires using, just literally putting on some sunscreen for the first ever time and realising that they can actually then just go out in the sun. I don't know why I find that so funny. I think I thought of it in the context of Twilight, but this could apply to literally any fandom, right? This could be Vampire Diaries, this could be True Blood, this could be bloody Vampire the Masquerade, you know what I mean? Yeah, anyway, sorry. So off track. Alright, let's get to it. Alright, so, as I'm thinking about it, I probably should have Googled the official definition or etymology of some of these words. I did not, okay? I did not, so you're just gonna have to put up with me explaining them as I understand them, which I believe is completely accurate, but whether it's gonna be articulate or not, who knows? Alright, so the first one is no wuckers. No wuckers. So that's two words. So that's a no, as in, N-O, and then wuckers, which I believe is spelled W-U-C-K-A-S. If that writing is backwards, I do apologise. I'll try to flip it in post. So no wuckers means no worries. No wuckers. What a wonderful phrase. Yeah, I don't know where wuckers comes from. I could take several guesses, some of which are not appropriate for YouTube, So we're just gonna move on from that one. But that is no wuckers. No wuckers. So then we have a doona. Doona. Now a doona is not actually this thing. Technically what I have is a comforter, which is like one piece of bedding, like a quilt. That is like the stuffing, like the padded part doesn't come out from the cover. They are like one piece. A doona is what most people probably call a duvet. So a doona is like a down filled, usually. They can be like cotton or wool filled as well. But you know, like a goose down or a duck down would be like the warmest and the more expensive kind of this item. A duvet or a doona. A doona. Doona. And that is DOONA. The thing that you then put on the outside of that, like the decorative part, is then called a doona cover. So you get your doona cover and then you put that over your doona. Or in my case, I don't, because I have a comforter now. You do obviously need like a big washing machine to be able to fit a comforter, at least for, you know, like an adult size bed. But we have a big enough washing machine, so it's so much easier. It's so much easier having one piece than having to like take it out and then like put it back on and stuff. Especially if you're like on the smaller side like me. So doona. Alright, we have a couple of food related ones now. Some culinary Australianisms. Prepare thyself. So, potato cakes. Now, if you are Australian, don't even at me, alright? I will die on the hill of the potato cakes. And if you're not Australian and have literally no idea what just happened, a potato cake. I might try to put a picture here. If you hear that, that's my dog having puppy dreams. Little puppy dreams. Yes, so a potato cake is a deep fried food. You can technically oven bake them, but like don't do that. It's like a battered potato thing that you eat. There are sort of two ways that you can make them, and this is why there are different names for them in different states. So honestly, think quite similar to like a hash brown, but not quite. So they're like battered on the outside, like how you would get like a battered fish, but it's like filled with either like a mashed potato kind of, or the better ones, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, are like slices of potato. Like it'll be like thin slices of potato kind of stacked, and then that's battered and deep fried. Ideally a potato cake is, you know, it's like fried and battered, so ideally you want the outside to be like kind of crispy, but then you don't want the inside to be like super dry. You want there to be like a bit of crunch, but you don't want the whole thing to be like, you know, you need there to be potato. You don't want it to just be like mostly batter and then there's like a really sad amount of potato in there. Typically, when you've got the sliced potato style, as opposed to like kind of mashed potato, it would be called a potato scallop. And in the state that I currently reside in, Queensland, it is called a potato scallop. They are called potato scallops in most states, actually. However, I learned potato cake first while I was living in Victoria, and so that's the one that stuck, and so that is what it will be called for the rest of my life. So yeah, potato cake. I'm not going to spell that one out yet. Actually, I will spell it out. So that's potato, Potato, and then cake, CAKE, or potato scallop, which is potato, POTATO, and then scallop, SCALLOP. A flat white. A flat white. A flat white is a type of coffee. It is the most popular, I'm gonna say. I have absolutely no citation for that. But it is a very, very popular, common way to have coffee. Espresso-based coffee. A flat white is very similar to a latte, but instead of having like that froth on the very top, it's just the steamed milk. So with like a cappuccino, a flat white and a latte, they're all kind of similar. A cappuccino, you have the espresso and you have then milk froth for the entire thing. So a cappuccino is a very frothy coffee. A latte is then steamed milk and a bit of froth, and then a flat white is just the steamed milk. To be perfectly honest, there are plenty of places where you can order a latte and you basically just get a flat white and vice versa. Like how much, like you might still end up with a tiny bit of froth in your flat white. You might end up with basically no froth in your latte. But a flat white is, yes, an Australian style of espresso drink. That's all there is to it, really. If you are a barista, I'm so sorry that I probably just grossly oversimplified that. But it is like, you get a nice, like, silky mouthfeel, I guess. Like, the milk is really nice. It's not like, you know how when you make a really bad coffee, you can kind of get what just tastes like milk straight from a jug, and then there's just, like, a layer of, like, foam on top, and that's, like, not that nice. Flat white is nice. Okay, it's nice. It's nice. As I understand it, you can get something that is called a flat white in other countries. However, I have doubts about whether or not that is like actually like a flat white like we have here. Australia, especially like Melbourne, it does have pretty good coffee, I have to say. Like the coffee that is available here, like especially espresso coffee, we have a lot of choices and there's a pretty high skill level. Like baristaing is, it's quite a common skill to have, and there are a lot of people that are trained like quite well, I think, relative to people that might make or serve coffee in other countries. Obviously that is like a gross overgeneralization. There is also really shit coffee. My dog has now woken up and is making a bed on top of a curtain. I took some of the curtains down because I need to wash them, and she is scratching them to make her bed. So she's deaf, so okay, she's going. Yeah, plenty of shit coffee here too, but like on the whole, pretty good coffee. Alright, the next one, toasty. Oh, I didn't spell it. Flat white. FLATWHITE. Flat white. Okay, toasty. Now a toasty is literally just a toasted sandwich. So like a grilled cheese, as you would say in the US. Kind of, anyway. A toasty is a toasted sandwich. When you say just toasty on its own, that almost always refers to just cheese. So that is just the toasted cheese sandwich or the goat cheese. Oh my god, dog is coming back. She's so loud. Oh god. Hello. Oh yes, you're so annoying. Oh yes you are. Yes you are. He's the most annoying puppy. Alright, come here. groom soon. Oh my god, can you sit the fuck down? Come on. There we go. Oh, sugar puppy, this isn't food. Yeah, so a toasted cheese sandwich or a grilled cheese or whatever. Other common ones would be a ham and cheese or tomato and cheese or ham, cheese and tomato. Now, these are all very common. You will find them at your school canteen. Canteen is like, I mean, that's also called different things in different states, right? But basically the place where you can buy food at a school. That's called the canteen, or the tuck shop, occasionally, or the... Damn, there's another one and I can't think of it. Sorry, I didn't write that one down. It was just a happy accident. So a toasty, Toastie. Okay, so the next one is eggplant. Now, an eggplant is an aubergine. Aubergine. I'm sorry, I find that so funny, and I don't think anyone else in the whole world does. Okay, so literally an aubergine, the emoji, you know, that people use as a euphemism for male appendages, like a sort of really, really dark purple vegetable. Well, the outside of it is dark purple, obviously the inside is very light. That here is called an eggplant. Why is it called an eggplant? I have absolutely no idea. But eggplant, EGGPLANT. Eggplant. Now that's it for the food ones. However, I will now segue very smoothly by going to the word cooker. And then when I say cooker, I don't mean like a cooktop, you know, like a stove. No. A cooker is... I'm actually not sure how this term originated. This is one of the ones that I probably should have googled, to be honest. But a cooker is a very particular breed of, like... Now I want to say this in a way that doesn't kind of like upset people or offend people. Like a very specific type of very conservative person usually, but specifically someone that like is very detached from reality. So it's people that they're usually like sovereign citizens would be a really good example of this. Sovereign citizens, I know that that's a big thing in Australia, but I believe that is also a big thing in other countries, especially like during COVID. Sovereign citizens being people that don't see themselves as citizens of the country that they're citizens of. They see themselves as having their own sovereignty, which is usually code for, I want to do illegal things and then not get in trouble for it, so I'm going to claim that the laws of my residence do not apply to me. They often invoke the Constitution. Usually the American Constitution, which is just really takes the cake, like the some of the higher profile sovereign citizens that we've had, they do quote things from like the US Constitution, Bill of Rights, laws from other states as well. So just basically they have no understanding of how the law actually works. So they would be an example of a cooker. Another type of cooker would be the people that did those super spreader parties during COVID. So the people that deliberately were giving themselves COVID to build immunity to it. Again, very illegally. The people that not only didn't get the vaccine, but, you know, the people that thought that the vaccines were like a way to put chips in people's brains and stuff, you know, stuff that's just a little bit too out there for most people. Like, even if you are like conservative, most conservative people don't kind of think that the government is trying to put brain chips into people, obviously. So yeah, like cooker, because they're cooked. Like crunchy parenting could also fall into being a cooker, but like they're not exactly the same thing. If you're like a really extreme version of a crunchy parent, you might be a cooker. Again, it's reserved for like, yeah, that really quite out of touch with reality, extreme sort of, yeah, that sort of thing. Alright, so now that we've cooked, cooker, C-O-O-K-E-R. So now that we've cooked, we're now going to cool down with some ice. Now ice is actually quite an interesting one. I did Google this and couldn't definitively find whether this is used in other countries in this way, so please do comment below if this is a term that is used. This is the most common term in Australia. I don't know to what degree it is used overseas, but ice, as in like when you have a drink and it's a hot day, so you put some ice in it. Not like that ice, spelled the same, like the same word, and you'll see why, but ice as in crystal meth, as in the drug, crystal meth. Again, I don't know if this is used overseas. I did try Googling it, but I couldn't find results from other countries except for like health organization websites that listed it in, you know, a laundry list of like other terms, like, you know, names that you might encounter this drug by, sort of thing, and that doesn't really tell me if it's actually used in common, like the common vernacular, in common parlance, I suppose. So yeah, ice, baby. Yeah. Australia has several places that have had an ice epidemic in recent years. A lot of the time it's not really, it's a little bit sensationalist, I would say. I've lived in several of the ice capitals of Australia. The fact that there are several of them would tell you that, you know, maybe there's a bit of sensationalism at play. And I would say, like, there are places where there is a very unfortunate, yes, there are sizable groups of people that are unfortunately addicted to ice, mostly youths. It is a life-ruining drug, that is true. I'm not trying to make light of it. However, I've also, like, I've never felt, you know, unsafe to leave the house because of the ice epidemic, which is kind of what the media would maybe have you believe, or that, you know, like that it's everywhere, that, you know, one wrong move and you too will become a victim of ice. It's like any other drug addiction, you know, they don't tend to corner you and try to give you the ice, you know, so very sad for those who are addicted. Not a very big problem for people that are not, and, you know, obviously don't have someone close to them who is suffering from addiction, struggling with it, so yeah. Alrighty, a couple more. We have, Dunny, I feel like is one that people know, so I'm going to do this one really quickly. Ice, I-C-E, yeah, Dunny, D-U-N-N-Y, toilet, not used very commonly, I would say, like, people say it, but it's like, it's really not that common. Like, no one's going to be at work and go, you know, oh, I'm just going to pop to the dunny. You know, that is not a thing that people are saying. I mean, some people might be, right? Like, it depends where you work and who your crowd is, but, like, people say it, but it's like, it's not the normal term for it by any stretch. Bathroom, toilet, obviously. Some people like myself say loo. That is a function of me being brought up by entirely British family. So that one's less common, but people still like understand it. So yeah. First in, best dressed. First in, best dressed. First in, best dressed. First in, best dressed. And this one is like first in, first served, basically, but for some reason we decided to call it first in, best dressed. So it's literally like, if there is, you know, a limited number of openings for something, first in, best dressed. Yeah. Really not sure if there's much more to elaborate on that one. So first in, best dressed. First, F-I-R-S-T. In, I-N. Best, B-E-S-T. Dressed, D-R-E-S-S-E-D. First in, best dressed. There's 3 more. Alright, we have hoon. Hoon. Now a hoon. That would be a hoon coming in right now. Sorry, my husband's coming in through the garage door. He's back from work. A hoon. A hoon is like a reckless driver, someone that is speeding, they're dangerously driving. They're usually a young red P-plater male, right? So a red P-plater, when you get your driver's license, you start as an L-plater. That is, you have a learner's license. You can only drive supervised by another person, like an adult, fully licensed driver, or an instructor, or whatever. Then you get your P-plates. You go through 2 stages of P-plates. The first is your red P-plates. You stay as a red P-plater for 1 year. And this is a signal to everyone that you are a freshly licensed driver, like freshly allowed to drive independently. It is a warning to others on the road. And then you get green P-plates, which you stay on for a bit longer, and that's like a bit of a warning to others, but like, you know, less of a warning, you know. There are special conditions attached to different types of driver's licenses as well, which I can tell you about another time. Yeah. So I can teach you about that another time. If you're interested. So yeah, that is a hoon. We have use. Now use, I know, is also used in, I think, the South of America. I have definitely come across it before. Hoon. I didn't spell it. Sorry, I'm really bad at remembering to spell these. Hoon. H-O-O-N. Hoon. Okay, so then use, which would normally be written out as like Y-O-U-S-E. Use. Use is a pet peeve of mine, to be honest. It's, again, I'm not trying to offend anyone here, but it's a very bogan thing to say. Now, bogan is like our equivalent of like a chav, like a lower class person. And I don't mean lower class necessarily as just being like, you know, working class, like lower income. It's a specific type of person that is like just not classy, but not necessarily trashy, as in like, you know, you can be trashy in different ways, right? Like, bogans are like, they're the types of people that are like very loud. If you go on holiday with them, like, they will make their presence known. Types of people that get very sunburnt on holiday for some reason, despite coming from Australia, tend to swear more in public and stuff like that, which like everyone does a little bit. Well, no, I shouldn't say everyone does. Not everyone does, but like, you know, they do to like a slightly less acceptable extent. There are other kind of stereotypes associated with bogans, but like, that's legit. That's all you need to know for use is quite a bogan thing to say, but there are a lot of bogans in Australia, so it's like a relatively common thing that you will hear. Use is, as I said, I believe that this is used in other places, but it's like just like plural of you, which is already plural. It's like vous, but we don't have, like tu versus vous in French, but we don't. English already has that in the form of you, so it's like that would be like, yous don't know what you're talking about or something, or like it's all yous kind of thing. I don't know. That's, yous. And then the last one is a very interesting one, and it's this one I will Google because I want to get kind of a more precise definition, because I feel like if I try to describe it, like define it, it's not going to be articulate enough to convey the meaning. And I work with these, I've worked with these before. They are an important stakeholder in a lot of people's work, so like, yeah. But this is a peak body, a peak body, a peak body, peak body, a peak body, P-E-A-K B-O-D-Y. Now, a peak body, the Google AI overview is a representative, often non-government organization that acts as the collective voice for a group of smaller organizations with similar interests, such as a particular industry, profession, or community sector. I'm going to say that that's mostly accurate, but not quite. Let me find a slightly different definition, because like it's right that they are kind of, it makes it sound like it's just any kind of lobby group, which isn't exactly true. A peak body is, here we go, an advocacy group or trade association, an association of industries or groups with allied interests, generally established for the purposes of developing standards and processes, or to act on behalf of all members when lobbying government or promoting the interests of the members. Peak bodies are widely accepted as the legitimate voice or representative of a profession or industry, as opposed to just a particular subset of that profession. That's a bit more accurate. Again, lobbying is like one function that they do, but I also urge people to think about lobbying in a broader sense, and not just like, lobbying gets a very bad rap on the internet, and I know why, but I've worked in the government side of lobbying, and it does serve a very important democratic function, because people often think about like the ways that these multi-billion dollar corporations can bribe government officials or whatever, or politicians. That is not, I urge you to please not think about lobbying in that way. Think more about unions for a particular profession, advocating for, developing better working conditions, that sort of thing. Or it could be a particular group of people, like a particular, what's the word? Like, it's not just a particular job necessarily, like it can be broader than that. But yeah, a peak body. There are like examples of them. I kind of don't want to, I don't necessarily want to start reading them, I suppose. I would say, the main thing that is wrong about the main thing that's wrong with the AI summary was it said something like usually non-government. I feel like pretty much by definition they have to be non-government, because like government doesn't really have a role in being a, I want to be really careful with what I say here, but like, they will always be non-government, because otherwise there is, as you can imagine, a really big conflict of interest there. Yeah, that's, I guess, all I'm going to say there. So yeah, peak body. Peak body. Alrighty, so I hope that you learned something today. If you didn't, then I don't know what to tell you. You're like really good at this. Or you're secretly Australian and you just don't know it. Or you're lying to me. So yeah, comment down below which ones you did or didn't know. I'm really interested. I'm also really interested about the ice thing. I don't know if I'm gonna get demonetized for like speaking about it. I hope not. Sorry if the audio quality was not very good. As I said, I haven't used this microphone before. I'm working on it. Yeah, hopefully it's okay. If it wasn't, I will learn for next time. I am excited to use this thing. One of the main benefits is, as you can see, it's completely portable. It's battery powered and records to a micro SD card. And so I'm really excited to be able to take this outside with me, do a little bit of field work, and it's also so much easier to use than the Blue Yeti, because the Blue Yeti obviously is a really good mic, but it's so heavy. It's so heavy. Setting it up anywhere was just a pain, because setting up like a camera or even a phone on a tripod to film, you can kind of put that literally anywhere, but then fitting the Blue Yeti somewhere, especially because it's a powered microphone, like it needs to be plugged into a computer, like not just power, but it needs to specifically be plugged into a computer for the driver. Having to set up my computer plugged into the Blue Yeti, as well as like the camera setup and everything, like the laptop then had to also be plugged in so that had enough power to then power the Blue Yeti for the full record time. It was just yeah, it was too much. It was too much. My Blue Yeti, I also dropped it a few years ago, I think.